right, it's that time of the year. It's PFL Mena time. All right, I know we've all been looking forward to this one. PFL Mena 1 from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. 12 fights in the card. It is the first of 2 PFL cards this week, as we are going to have our PFL Europe predictions out tomorrow. Paul Hughes versus Bruno Miranda in the main event from Belfast, Ireland. We're going to have our full card predictions out for that video, or for that card tomorrow. But today it is all about PFL Mena. We're going to go over some brackets, some tournaments and whatnot. For the second year of the PFL Saudi Arabian branch. And also yesterday we posted our UFC 315 predictions. Bilal Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena in the main event from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Make sure to go check out that video if you have not yet, linked in the description down below. And also go make sure to check out Reda Plays, the main channel, Daily NBA and MLB Best Bets. Okay, so we've got 12 fights on this PFL Mena card. For the most part, these are tournament fights like it was last year, and I will get through some of the tournament brackets once we get there. But we start off the card with an amateur fight. Now, guys, I'm just going to be completely honest with you guys. I don't know who either of these two guys are. I just don't. I was thinking, oh, are these guys like celebrities over in Saudi Arabia? That's what I thought, legitimately, because I couldn't really find much. No, I found that Fares, I think, is just an up-and-coming fighter. At least that's what his Instagram is telling me. And then his opponent in Abdulaziz bin Mohammad. I couldn't really find much about the guy other than a SureDog page, a LinkedIn, for a legal consultant in Saudi Arabia. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'd never do this. I'm taking who the favorite on Tapology is for this one fight. I don't know, guys. Don't bet the fight. It's an amateur fight. You can't even bet on it if you wanted to. I don't know who these guys are. They have 0 fights on Tapology, 0 fights on SureDog. I don't know why Bin Moammar has 87% voted for on Tapology. This is a meaningless fight. You can't bet on it. I'm not going to give it the time of day. There's another amateur fight later on this card, but at least there's some backing to it a little bit. Actually, no, it's a professional fight. Yeah, this is the only amateur fight on the card. Don't care. Give me Abdulaziz bin Moammar by decision. I don't know who these guys are. It's at catchweight 166. What is going on? Give me Abdulaziz, I guess. All right. Next up. Matchup in the featherweight division. I assume this is an alternate fight because neither of these guys are actually in the featherweight tournament itself. We've got Youssef Al-Housani versus Nader Jeffal. Again, neither of these guys in the actual bracket itself, but we get a legitimate fight now. Interesting one. I'm going with Al-Housani to win. He's a 4-1 fighter. Has yet to make his way into the PFL Smart Cage. He's supposed to fight on the PFL Road to Dubai Champion Series. It was the Usman Nurmagomedov Paul Hughes card. He had to withdraw from that battle, if I'm not mistaken. He was supposed to fight in PFL Mena last year, actually PFL on a pay-per-view card against Taha Bendaoud. Fight got canceled. What this does show me out of Youssef Al-Housani is that the PFL actually kind of gives a damn about this guy, and they kind of want him to be a part of their brand. He's 4-1 as a pro, 2 wins in UAE Warriors against guys who are making their pro debuts, but 2 wins over there, right? Back-to-back victories going into this fight. He's a 4-1 guy, taking on a 2-0 Nader Jeffal, who's only beaten a 0-0 and a 0-0-1 fighter in Victory Fighters promotion in TFC. This Nader Jeffal guy is from Tunisia, and he's 19 years old. I don't know how old Youssef Al-Housani is, but by looking at his picture, he has to be at least 30. I'm taking the 30-year-old, guys. I'm going to take him to win this fight. He has experience. He's fought in UAE Warriors. The PFL has booked him multiple times outside of just PFL Mena. It goes to show, I think they actually, again, kind of value this guy, and we've seen some early finishes before in his past. I just think we see him outclass Jeffal in this one. I'm going the safe bet of Youssef Al-Housani to win the fight by unanimous decision over Nader Jeffal. We go to our first tournament fight of the year here with PFL Mena, and we kick things off with the tournament here in the lightweight division between Abdullah Saleem and Suhail Tairi. I'm going with Abdullah Saleem doing the fight. He is a 5-0 fighter. This feels like a gimme. I hope it is. I think it's a gimme. I'm going with the White Gorilla fighting out of Kuwait. Saleem won his first fight in PFL Mena last year against Moammar Rayurgi. Unfortunately for Saleem, he failed a drug test, so the fight's now a no contest. PFL didn't care that much. They brought him back. All right, I don't really care if he's on PEDs. We just need you to win, dog. I really don't care how you get it done. Sulhil Tairi, surprise PFL Mena brought him back. He went 1-2 last year in the PFL, beating Ahmed Amir by unanimous decision in his first fight. Then lost to Mohammadesifi, who we're going to get to later by unanimous decision, and then lost to John Mitchell earlier this year. I guess that fight's in 2025. But regardless, Tairi now finds himself at 7-6-1. He's a French fighter who has the Algerian flag, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, that's the Algerian flag. He's just been outclassed in every fight that he's had. He lost to Mohamed Yahya, who I get's a UFC fighter, kind of. But Mohamed Yahya is not very good at fighting. Tairi has been outclassed in the feet and on the ground, too, throughout his career. And I'm not, again, and I think Abdullah Saleem, is he going to win this thing? Probably not, but hell, this is in the tournament. I think he's got a clear grappling advantage here. And I, again, don't think it's that close. I think he's going to dominate this fight on the ground against Tairi, and I think he's going to find a way to a submission fairly quickly. I'm going Abdullah Saleem here by second round sub. I think, again, first round, kind of feeling out process, but he did win his last fight by first round sub in 89 seconds. But again, Saleem did fail a drug test in that fight, popped for PEDs, I think. So we'll see. But I think he should be fine in this fight again. You know, if he won by knockout in his first fight in PFL Mena, I'd be a little bit concerned because, okay, yeah, you pop for PEDs, that could result in your power being different, but your grappling's still your grappling, and I think he should be able to win this fairly easily against a guy who's 7-6-1. This is a journeyman fighter. This is a 50-50 fighter. I'm taking the guy who's undefeated 5-0. Give me Abdullah, the White Gorilla Saleem out of Kuwait to win this fight over Sulhil Tairi. I think he gets it by second round submission. Let's go on to our next fight. Not a tournament bout. Why is this fight a thing? I don't know. Again, are these guys like influencers over in Saudi Arabia? I couldn't tell you. Elnamer takes on Ahmad Makki. I'm going with Elnamer to win the fight. I'm going with the Egyptian here. He's not that impressive. He's won 3 fights. You can't find these fights on the internet. I've checked. They're in AUFC promotion, which stands for Arabic Ultimate Fighting Championship. And when you tap on, or when you look at their page on Tapology, a big yellow box pops up and says this promotion has been flagged by Tapology for insufficient evidence or documentation, meaning they really don't value these wins at all. Great. Apparently, though, this guy's won 3 fights over there. So, it's the PFL signs him. He's taken on Ahmad Makki, who hasn't really done anything of note in mixed martial arts. He hasn't fought since 2018. His win actually is in Brave. I'll give him that. On a fight card that contained Jeremy Kennedy, Abdullah Al-Qahtani, Islam Reda. That was their first fight. Ikram Al-Askarov and Usman Nurmagomedov and Mustafa Neda. Damn, this card has to be and Ahmed Magomedov and Gabriel Miranda. Damn. Anyways, this was back in 2018. That was Ahmad Makki's last fight and win by North-South choke in the first round. Prior to that, he had lost 3 consecutive fights, then had a draw in his mixed martial arts debut in 2014. This guy hasn't fought professionally in 7 years. Same with Hisham Elnamer. What is going on? Where do they find these guys? I don't know. Makki apparently trains in Los Angeles. Okay. Elnamer, the Egyptian, is undefeated. I'm going to put a little bit more into that than Makki. He's gotten 3 submissions and 3 wins in 3 fights, so I expect him to go out there and get a submission win in this one. I don't know. These guys' fights aren't on the internet. So, give me Hisham Elnamer to win the fight by first round sub. If you could find a betting market for this fight, don't bet it. Makki's last fight was at 135 pounds. He's fighting at lightweight now. What's happening? I don't know. Let's go on to our next one. We go to the lightweight division. We've got George Ied taking on Mohammed Fahmi. I'm going with Ed to win this fight. So this is a PFL Mena veteran, right? Last year was the first year of PFL Mena. We talked about it, obviously, throughout the year. And, you know, George had a decent year. He loses to Mohammadesifi in his last fight for the championship, and we're going to talk about Mohsen later on in this card. But George wins back-to-back fights over Abbas Khan and Omar Reguri. You know, the second one being a first-round knockout, and the Khan victory being by unanimous decision. I was kind of impressed with George. I think his striking's pretty solid. He's a Lebanese fighter. You know, kind of kill or be killed at time, but this is not a bad fighter at all. 34 years of age. I'm kind of impressed. He's taking on Mohammed Fahmi in this fight. 29-year-old fighter who's had 2 professional fights in his career. Well, technically he's got 4, but Tapology has flagged 2 of those for him fighting illegitimate fighters, I guess is what Tapology's telling me. He's 1-1 championship, which is really impressive. I'll give him that. He beat a 3-1 Antonio Bushev by unanimous decision, a guy who's now 3-3 professionally, but Fahmi won his last fight by unanimous decision over in 1. I just think it's too much. Like, again, I will say again, PFL Mena is a regional promotion. Let's just be honest, right? Like, PFL Europe, PFL Europe is regional, but you're going to get guys like Paul Hughes on there. You know, there are going to be solid fighters. Like, Bruno Miranda's fought, obviously, in the main PFL as well. PFL Mena is very, you know, it's a competitor to UAE Warriors. I'll say it's a little bit better than UAE Warriors. It is. But it's not that much better. So when you look at a guy like Fahmi, who won on one fight Friday fight, which is, you know, it is what it is. Good victory. I guess it's a card that usually contains kickboxing fights, if I'm not mistaken. I think most of those take place in Thailand, I think. I think a guy in George Eid who has had 15 pro fights, who's fought in PFL, fought for the PFL championship last year for PFL Mena, you know, had to fight a 5-round fight. I think he's in a much better position to win this fight. I like the striking out of George Eid. And I think he should be able to win this fight by decision against a guy who will look to his grappling in Fahmi. I'm going to take George Eid to win the fight. I think he should be able to stuff takedowns. I'm going to take the TriStar Lebanon's own and George Eid to win the fight by unanimous decision. We move on now to our next fight. We go to the featherweight division. We've got a tournament matchup here between Hussein Saleem and Asin Ghanem. Close fight because Saleem's the guy who's 12-5, taking on a 4-0 Asim Ghanem. I'm going with the underdog in this fight. Yeah, I'm going to go here with Salem to win the fight. I just like the experience. This is a guy coming off a win in 1. He was a plus 205 dog in his fight, won it by first round knockout. He's had a lot of experience in UAE Warriors, 5-2 in that promotion. Sure, he's taken on an undefeated guy, but I look at what Asim Ghanem has done, and it's not impressive. He's fought multiple guys that are flagged by Tapology for not being real guys. His last one's over a 4-4 fighter. Before that, an 0-2 and an 0-1 guy, and he's barely winning fights against these bad fighters. Against an 0-1 Bachil Zakaria, he wins the fight by majority decision. He beats Ismail Gamal by split decision. Gamal was 0-2 going into that fight. I'm not impressed. I'm not. He was supposed to fight Youssef Al-Housani, who we talked about earlier on that PFL Road to Dubai card. That fight fell through, obviously. Well, I think Salem, who sure has lost some, is in a much better position to win this fight. Again, we're looking at an Asim Ghanem here, who hasn't beat anybody of note, who's barely getting by these crap fighters. Salem should win, right? Multiple wins in UAE Warriors. There's 5 of them. A win in his last fight in 1 earlier this year, just a month ago. Actually, a couple months ago. I got my months mixed up. But a couple months ago, winning by first round knockout. Really nice finish for him. I think he should be able to bring it on the feet to Asim Ghanem. And I think it's a great spot here. This guy, again, 42% of voters going with Salem on Tapology compared to the 50 going with Ghanem. I think Salem wins this fight. I think it's a great spot for plus money. I think Hussein's going to be able to win the fight. I think he might win it by finish, but I'm going to go decision personally. But I just don't like the lack of experience for Asim Ghanem in this fight. So we're going with Salem to win the fight by unanimous decision. We move on to our next one as we stick in the featherweight division maybe the best fight at 145. I mean, the main event is actually a very good one as well, and we're going to talk about that, right? The rematch of Abdullah Al-Qahtani and Islam Reda. It's Reda's only loss, but we're going to talk about that later. This is a good fight. Bendaoud versus Alhyasat. Abdulrahman Alhyasat, I believe is his full name. Alhyasat's really good. I think he is. I mean, this is a guy last year who did not get to fight for the PFL championship. He had to withdraw, Islam Reda had to withdraw from the fight, and then he was supposed to fight Abdullah Al-Qahtani for the championship, but then Alhyasat withdrew from the fight. Now, he had already beaten Al-Qahtani earlier on in the PFL Mena season. He was a huge underdog in the playoffs. He beat Al-Qahtani. Again, supposed to fight Reda in the championship. Reda dropped out, and then Alhyasat was supposed to get Al-Qahtani as a replacement, but then Alhyasat had to drop out of the fight. So instead, Al-Qahtani gets another replacement fighter and wins the fight by knockout. Now, Al-Qahtani is the reigning world champion. So the tournament format really resulted in a weird finish, but Alhyasat is kind of the uncrowned champion, and he should, I believe, be the favorite to win the 145-pound bracket. I think he should. There is, Ghemmouri's here too. And I'll get to Ghemmouri, a former UFC name who's in this bracket as well. But they're not even saving the Alhyasat fight for the championship. He is going to fight Al-Qahtani or Reda in the semifinals. That's up next. And I think we all expect Alhyasat to win this fight over Bendaoud, who's an undefeated guy who's won in PFL before. Big win over Tairi Ismail in his last fight. That's a good one. Winning that fight by triangle choke in the second round. Ismail's, though, just an older guy who, it's a good win. I'm not going to lie for Taha, but I think he's outmatched in this fight. Alhyasat is just better everywhere, in my opinion. This is a guy training out of Jordan, out of Lions MMA Club. And again, the win over Abdullah Al-Qahtani speaks volumes. He was going to get him in the PFL Championship card. Didn't end up getting that fight for the PFL Mena Championship. And he should be able to outclass Bendaoud here. And again, we are looking towards that next fight in the next round where he fights the winner of the main event. It's going to be a huge fight. That will likely main event whatever card that they're on. Give me Alhyasat to win this fight everywhere it goes. I like him to win by decision. And then sign me up for his next fight against the winner of Abdullah Al-Qahtani and Islam Reda. So we're going with Abdulrahman Alhyasat to win this fight of the Atlas Lion by unanimous decision. Next up, we go to the flyweight division, a non-tournament fight, but I know why they're doing it. The PFL has been, waiting to cash in on this Malik Basahel potential for a while, and here we go. Now, he's going to win this fight, okay? They have handpicked an opponent for him. I know how this works. I've seen the PFL do this with Baggio, Ali Walsh. I've seen this too many times. Like, Malik Bashael's winning this fight, okay? That's a foregone conclusion. I'm going Malik Basahel by unanimous decision. I think it's an interesting time, though, because, again, I'm going to be honest, I didn't know this happened until I saw this card, because I'm not keeping up with Uzbekistani amateur fighting. But Malik Basahel, who was put in multiple PFL cards, he had won 3 amateur fights with PFL, on the PFL Bellator card, on multiple PFL Mena cards. He goes to fight in an amateur fight, I believe it was a amateur tournament, if I'm not mistaken, but he loses his last amateur fight to Rudy Johnson III, right? A 6-2 amateur guy, loses it by split decision. It is what it is. I find that interesting, though, because now he's turning pro. Again, and this is what multiple fighters have said, and, I've heard DC and Michael Bisping talk about this, and Dominic Cruz talk about this a lot. Like, it's important that if you're a mixed martial arts fighter, you get as many amateur fights as you can, because those just don't go against your record, right? And when you have pro fights, a couple losses can derail you, and you'll never get a shot in a major promotion, right? So it makes sense for Basahel again to take. He ended up fighting 25 amateur fights. I mean, I remember Mohammadseifi had, I think, 25 amateur fights or 20-something amateur fights before he finally went pro as well. He's still undefeated, by the way, but he'll never get the call back to the UFC, it feels like. Anyways, I'm surprised the PFL hasn't signed him. Malik Basahel. The people said they didn't want Mohammadseifi. Reda said they had no interest. Anyways, Malik Basahel is going to get Mountassar Boutouta today. Fighting out of Algeria, he's 1-0 professionally with a rear naked choke finish over Mohammadesifi. Guys, I know how this works. Malik Basahel, pretty good grappler, I think, from what I've seen in his amateur fights, at least with the PFL. He's looked pretty good on the ground. Again, no longer 3-minute rounds. You're getting 5-minute rounds now in a pro fight. I think he will win this fight by decision. Again, the way I see this, the PFL has been waiting to cash in on Malik Basahel for so long. He is a star that they think they have in the Saudi Arabian region. He's only 23 years old. He fights out of England. They could easily move him to PFL Europe as well if they need to. They will ensure this guy wins this fight. They think they have somewhat of a star here. They found an opponent they know he can beat, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Malik Bashir wins this fight. He'll get it done by unanimous decision. We move on now to the featherweight division once more for Yanis Ghemmouri's PFL debut against Izzeddin Al-Derbani. I'll be honest, I think this is the easiest lay on the entire card. Yanis Ghemmouri will 100% win this fight. I don't care. You can look at his UFC run. It was not good. Right? He gets finished in the third round against William Gomez in his first fight, and then he's one of the biggest underdogs in UFC history historically against Peyton Talbot. He gets knocked out in 19 seconds on International Fight Week 2024. It is what it is. That UFC run was not it for Yanis Ghemmouri. He's 30 years old. He's a French fighter who I believe is going to be donning the Algerian flag in PFL Mena. But he now gets a chance to completely flush that and now look to win a PFL Mena championship that can hopefully, I think for Yanis Ghemmouri's career, propel him into PFL Europe next year and get into their tournament because, again, he is French. Right. Ghemmouri's a guy who's fought in the UFC before. Again, did not go well, but this is a former Brave fighter who looked decent over there. There's a reason he got the call to the UFC in the first place. Again, he always kind of felt like a questionable signing, but it is what it is, just so they could get him on a France card. But he gets a easy matchup here against the Palestinian samurai Izzeddin Al-Derbani, who's 36 years of age. He's 15-5, sure. But Yanis Ghemmouri should completely melt this guy, and he should knock him out in the first round. He just should. Al-Derbani's coming off a first-round sub-loss in his last fight in Brave CF. He has lost 3 of his last 5 fights. Everything to me points to a Yanis Ghemmouri finish in this one, and I think he's going to get it done in the first round too. Again, losing to William Gomez, who, say what you want about the guy, he's 4-1, 5-1 in the UFC, and losing to Peyton Talbot, who at one time, again, had all that hype around him, does not mean you're not that bad of a fighter. And compared again, he's going from fighting UFC guys to fighting PFL Mena guys. These are regional fighters that Yanis Ghemmouri should destroy. And I think it's a great career decision for Ghemmouri. Don't go and fight into, don't go back to Brave. Stay in, the swing of things. Go win a PFL Mena title. Go beat guys like a potential Al-Qahtani and Islam Reda or Alhyasat in the championship, and then stake your claim, obviously, to PFL Europe next year. It's a great strategy for him, and I think he's going to be able to do it here. I think he's the likely favorite to win this entire thing. Alhyasat, I think, might give him some trouble. Hell, and Islam Reda might give him some trouble as well, but he won't have to worry about that until the championship, and I'm taking Yanis Ghemmouri here to win this fight by first-round knockout over the 36-year-old Izzeddin Al-Derbani. Let's go to our feature bout of the night, and we move now to the lightweight division. Abbas Khan gets a shot here in the tournament against Salah ad-Din Hamli. I'm going with the Moroccan fighter in Hamli to win this one. I'm going with him to take it by decision. Abbas Khan is 8-3. He's fought in PFL before, and he lost his one fight to George Eid. He lost it by unanimous decision. It is what it is. Since then, he's won back-to-back fights in Brave over a 10-3 Adam Mohammed and a 6-5 Seth Rosario. I think Hamli should be able to win this fight. This is a guy who is undefeated at 8-0, picking up wins in various promotions, sure, but he's got some decent wins over some decent guys. 5-0 Aleph Jordali, a 5-2 Samuel Casimiro, a 6-0 Gabriel Pascolotti. There are some decent wins that Salah does have under his resume, and I think Abbas Khan will be another one of those. Again, I look back to that Abbas Khan loss to George Eid. I've seen him subbed on the ground before as well. I just don't think he's that great. He's 33 years old. Salah's the much younger fighter. I think he's the much quicker fighter. And Salah's huge for the weight class as well. He's a 6-foot lightweight. I think that just poses a lot of problems for a lot of guys in the weight class. Sure, Abbas Khan's 5'11", but he doesn't use his size at all as we've seen, in the past with him in the PFL. I think Hamli should be able to win. I think he'll get it done by unanimous decision. He takes on the winner of that Abdullah Saleem and Suli Tairi fight, so we'll see that again eventually as well. But I'm going again with the favorite in Salah Hamli to go out here and beat Abbas Khan. I think he should be able to get it done by unanimous decision. We go on now to the co-main event of the evening, and we move to the lightweight division. Mohammadseifi takes on Ahmed Sisy. So again, one of these fights where you get a guy here in the favorite, in Mohammadseifi, who looked really good in PFL Mena last year. Right? He's the reigning champion in the lightweight division. He's looking to go back-to-back this season. And I always thought, again, I always thought he was solid last year, right? Ran through the competition. After that Josh Togo victory where he knocked him out in the first round, I never picked against Mosen again. A win over Tairi by decision, and they win over George Eid for the championship as well by unanimous decision. And this is a guy who has a 7-2 record, but he's on a 7-fight win streak. He lost his first 2 professional fights to a 2-0 guy and then to a 14-3 at the time Rong Zhu, who's a UFC fighter over in WLF Wars, and he hasn't lost a fight since. Now, he is 35 years old, which is a little bit concerning, and it does make me a little bit questionable about what his potential is in this weight class. Now, I look at the entire bracket, though. I think whoever he sees on the other side of it, like a potential Abdullah Saleem, I think might be difficult for him in the finals. But his next round fight's likely George Eid again, and I think he probably wins that rematch of the championship fight last year. But again, he's 35 years old. Where do we really rate that for Mohammadseifi? But again, looked really good last year, showed a lot of power. That's what he's got. He is a little undersized. He's a 5'5" lightweight, but the dude is built. He is, again, a very strong guy for 155 pounds. His opponent, the 6-1 Ahmed El-Sisi, coming out of Egypt, hasn't fought anybody. Fighting in MEFC, which is Middle East Fighting Championship over in the UAE. I'm not all that impressed. I've seen Mohammadseifi go out there and beat some really good fighters in the past, and I just don't think El-Sisi is on his level. I'm going to take the favorite here and the reigning PFL Mena lightweight champion to go out there and win the fight. He's the golden boy with the nickname. I think Mohammadseifi wins the fight, and I think he should be able to get it done by unanimous decision as he looks to retain his championship this year. Main event time. A pretty big fight for PFL Mena. I mean, you have to be a hardcore of a hardcore to really know what's going on in this fight. But Abdullah Al-Qahtani takes on Islam, the Egyptian zombie Reda. A lot of narratives going into this fight. And yeah, I'm surprised I'm saying this for a PFL Mena fight, but there's a couple things going on here, right? These two guys have fought before. 2018 in Brave, Islam Reda is a 6-0 fighter going into that fight. Abdullah Al-Qahtani is fighting his second ever professional fight. Abdullah Al-Qahtani wins the fight, a very close one by split decision. Since then, Islam Reda hasn't lost. Abdullah Al-Qahtani's lost twice, but the last one being to Alhyasat, we talked about earlier. Now, again, the PFL Mena championship picture gets weird because, again, Alhyasat, who eliminated Al-Qahtani in the semifinals last year, was supposed to take on Islam Reda in the championship. Reda pulls out, Al-Qahtani steps in, Alhyasat steps out with an injury. Al-Qahtani eventually wins a belt against the guy who was, the number 4 guy in the tournament last year, in Bendaoud, who's not even in the tournament this season, right? Bendaoud actually, he lost back-to-back fights. He lost to Reda in the playoffs, and then, Al-Qahtani again in the championship fight. So the championship fight last year at 145 pounds was always kind of odd because it was two guys who had lost in the semifinals fighting for the world championship. But anyways, Al-Qahtani was the guy that PFL wanted to win. He's a Saudi Arabian guy. He's been in main events before for them on PFL Mena. He's been on actual PFL cards as well. It kind of just made sense to me that, Al-Qahtani found his way to the championship. Guys, I think Islam Reda is going to win this fight. Lost the initial fight, but he looked so much better last year in the PFL season. I think what Reda is able to do on the ground, I think is going to go a long way, right? This is a striker versus a kickboxer. Striker versus a grappler. It's a better way of putting that. I think Reda is going to win out, though. I think Reda is going to be able to get the fight on the ground. That's again where Al-Qahtani will struggle. Yeah, he's a good striker. I've seen him go out there and finish fights. He, finished the fight where he won the championship. The Yazid Hasnain fight was a standing TKO. I saw him fight Edukukala. I butchered the hell out of that. He fought an Indian guy named Rao on the PFL versus Bellator card. I've seen him go out there. He submitted Lamar Brown too, but I've seen him go out there and blitz guys and give them trouble on the feet, right? Standing TKO is Al-Qahtani's pathway to victory a lot of the times. I think when Islam Reda, again, the nickname does suit itself as well. He does eat damage really well, and he can go out there and he can't wrestle you too. And he's got a lot of submission victories in the past. Reda, 8 of them by submission, 4 by decision. That's what he's going to go out there and do. And again, that first fight was very competitive. I just think Reda has evolved a lot more since. I And I think Islam Reda is the better fighter at this point. Again, he had a better run last year. He's kind of the uncrowned champion at this point. Yes, him and Alhyasat, and we're probably going to see that in the second round for a chance to fight for the championship in PFL Mena, probably against former UFC name in Ghemmouri. But I think Islam Reda does get this one done. I think he out-grapples Abdullah Al-Qahtani in this fight. I don't think he gets hit with anything too clean to the point where it really stuns him and takes him out of the fight. I'm going to take Islam Reda to win this fight via the grappling, and I think he'll get it done by unanimous decision. So folks, thank y'all for watching our PFL Mena full card predictions here on the channel. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. We'll be back tomorrow for our PFL Europe predictions. And again, go check out our UFC 315 predictions posted yesterday on the channel and linked in the description down below as well. Folks, thank y'all for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. And Mamba forever.